morning, everyone. I am going to call this regular meeting of the Operations Planning Committee to order. And first item on the agenda is approval of the regular minutes of May 11th, 2022. Are there any additions, deletions, corrections? No? Okay, may I have
Motion to approve.
May I have a motion to approve?
Sure.
Duke moves. Second?
I can't second.
I wasn't there.
Okay, I'll second. All in favor?
2-0.
2-0.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda. First, I want to thank our guests, Will Goodchild and Trip Lyons. Trip is doing an internship in Town Hall and is joining us today.
Oh, great.
It was terrific to see you. It was terrific to see you at the high school awards. Oh, here we have Seth.
Friends, Romans, sorry.
Okay, Seth, we're moving right along. We approved the minutes, and now I'm going to do my first selectman's report. This past Monday, I gave a presentation regarding the acquisition of Great Island. I'm sure most of you know it's a beautiful piece of property, 60 acres. It's consistent with our town's plan of conservation and development, as well as the Parks Recreation Master Plan. And both of those plans were developed with input from our communities. So there's more information on our website tomorrow night. There'll be a public information session downstairs at 7 o'clock. And we're hoping everybody can join us. If you can't, you can send any comments to be on the record for that meeting to Board of Selectmen at darien.ct.gov if they're received by 3 o'clock tomorrow, right? Linda?
I don't think we put a deadline on
Okay.
it specifically, but I think if they're received before the meeting, and public comment would always be welcome. But if you would want it to be part of the record, it would have to be tomorrow before the meeting.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So the next step for the Board of Selectmen side is to discuss and vote on this at our next meeting, which will be on Monday, a special meeting. And I'll let, since Board of Finance isn't here, Board of Finance is expected to vote on this either next Tuesday or next Wednesday. So you want to check the website for the update there. On March 24th, from 9 o'clock in the morning until 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Darien first responders, emergency management professionals, and other town administrators participated in the 2022 statewide emergency planning and preparedness initiative. This exercise was focused on hurricane preparedness and was designed to provide an opportunity for the town departments and agencies involved in emergency management to review plans, identify partners, and discuss possible scenarios and challenges. One of the key items of this exercise was to create an action plan for the 5 days leading up to an event and the action plan for the actual landfall of a major storm. Out of Westcog, you've heard me talk about the noise abatement study, the feasibility study for the New Canaan and branch of Metro North. I'm happy to say the study was approved, and I was on the consultant selection team. The consultant that was chosen is SRF Consulting Group. They're out of Minneapolis. I did speak with different references, including they did a big project in Windsor, Connecticut, and also in Bozeman, Montana, and both references checked out very highly, very positive on the group. Would hire them in a minute, was one of the comments. This will be managed, this group will be managed by Westcog and an external project manager in cooperation with Darien, New Canaan, and Stamford. And we're now at this point in the process awaiting approval of that consultant agreement with CT, Department of Transportation.
I think the goal there, Monica, is just to look at the noise on the rails.
Study the noise,
Study
yes.
the noise.
It's
Okay.
a noise abatement study.
Noise
Yes,
abatement.
it's been in the works for a long
Right.
time. So
Okay.
one of the holdups was finding a consultant that would be appropriate for the project. I'm also pleased to announce that as of, I think it was last night, the Census Bureau has formally approved the state's request to have its planning regions, that's the official name for our West Cog, for all of the cogs actually in Connecticut, to be considered a county equivalent. This approval marks the end of a multi-year project to to win federal recognition for Connecticut's regions, and it is a strong win for Connecticut.
So it allows federal funding probably
Right.
to flow more easily.
Right.
Interesting.
But it doesn't lead to county government, does it?
That's where my mind was going too.
Having grown up with that in New Jersey, it's just,
Yeah.
unless it's layer upon layer
Yeah.
upon layer.
And we eliminated, in the 60s, Connecticut eliminated county
Right.
government.
Right. It's a way for WestCog to access federal funding. Update on Eversource. A mediation session was held on May 25th with Eversource, DOT, and the town of Darien. Eversource submitted a planting plan for the property that's owned by the DOT along Little Brook Road. The town is pushing for a more robust planting plan, and we made that very clear during this session. A strong effort by the town to get additional plantings in that area continues as the mediator is working towards a settlement. Briefly on the Memorial Day Parade, it was held on the May 30th. Monuments and Ceremonies Commission takes the lead on putting this together, and I want to thank the commissioners, in particular Chairman Terry Gaffney. It was terrific to see so many people at the parade. Somebody said it to me, it seems like half the town is at the parade, the other half the town's in the parade. I think it's perfect balance. I think all parades should be like that.
Good description.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I want to thank the Air Force for supporting the town's request for a flyover of a C-130 jet.
I didn't know whether they were dropping supplies or just,
It was low.
Yeah.
I've flown in
It was
those.
beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they tip the wing when they go over the cemetery, so
Oh.
it's very stirring.
Yeah.
I felt it. Many people stayed to honor the deceased veterans in a ceremony that took place in the Springboro Cemetery after that. And those are all my comments. So let's go next. Terry, do you have anything?
Sure. A couple of things. We wrapped up session May 4th. It was a short session. So we did adjustments to the budget. There was described as a $600 million tax cut. Many of us didn't see it as a tax cut, but just a suspension of taxes for 1 year. It's not a permanent tax cut. There's a child tax credit, maximum of $250 per child per month. There's an income limit, and I will be sending out some information on that, and hopefully we can get it posted on the town website, along with the Office of Legislative Research. They do a full wrap-up of the key bills that were done, and that would be great for people to be able to access that on the town website.
So you'll
Rather than
send-
my going through an hour and a half of, we did this, 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 and this.
That would be terrific.
Yeah.
You'll send that?
Yes, I
Okay.
will send that to you.
And then Linda, we can put that up on our
We can put that under news.
page?
Yep.
Perfect.
Great.
Under news, perfect.
We wanted more funding in the unemployment trust fund for employers, because they're still paying a big fee. And Republicans felt we should have been doing more to support local businesses, because they're still paying the price of COVID. The diesel tax increase starts December 1st.
Don't move
July
it that
1st.
quick. It's a
So
year.
there is a suspension of the gas tax for regular gas right now, but again, that's just temporary. It's not an ongoing tax cut. Yet Republicans argued, well, let's cut the diesel tax as well. Why not do it equally? Because all trucks, everything we get delivered, all the services, all the supplies come by diesel, and I do know some people who have diesel cars who are paying. The diesel fuel has gone up double, and there's still a tax on that. So there's concern about that. The couple of things that did not see passage were the public access to beaches in any town. So that didn't even pass passed out of transportation. It did not pass either the House or the Senate, didn't get called. But there will still continue to be a drumbeat on that. There always is, as long as the political balance is what it is in Hartford, there will be a drumbeat on that. If we have more balance, that won't be so much of an issue. Zoning, same thing. There was a move again to override local zoning and allow any sort of dense development within a quarter mile of a train station. That also did not clear the House or the Senate, so nothing happened there. But again, it was a short session. We didn't expect it to. But we have to be prepared to articulate what problem does this solve, and does it solve the problem? And many of us feel that urban poverty, let's look at what we can do to address urban poverty. And there was a statistic given in the Finance Committee that since the imposition of the income tax, the poverty rate has risen 80% in our state. Yes, exactly. Exactly. And I will get you that
That'd be great to have.
documentation. So more money doesn't solve the issue at all. So we've got to look at fundamental structural issues in the urban districts, what's causing, well, we know, I mean, but that's a longer discussion too, what many of the issues are around urban poverty, but we've got to address it. If we talk about racial equity, let's address this problem. Especially because it's underserving so many young adults and students, and that's simply not right. Another union deal, state employee union deal, was agreed upon by the governor. Many of the union members will be getting $7,500 bonuses in addition to 2.5 pay increases over the contract, which is 3 years.
2.5.
Yeah.
2.5.
Yeah, so, again, it gives us, we lose flexibility in how we downsize or need to downsize or reallocate workers, so that was a concern with that. But overall, the budget looks good because of the revenue, the ARPA money, and also the capital gains. The revenue in the stock market has driven the revenue in our state coffers. So we just have to be careful that, yes, we're flush, but when you look at why we're flush, we're not really flush. I think that's it. We did work on mental health. We did some really good things in Hartford, and that's all outlined in the Office of Legislative Report, which I'll send to you for the website, or for the email blast and the website.
So the union contract was 3 years?
Yes.
The zoning, that came out of committee?
It came, let's see, the beaches passed transportation. Zoning, I don't believe passed housing.
Okay.
But I know the beaches did come out of transportation.
Any other questions for Terry?
I would just offer this to you. I joined the Bridgeport Regional Chamber of Commerce for a reason, just to get a sense of what's going on. What are they doing? What are they planning?
Right.
And I didn't know what I was getting into. You meet all the representatives from down there.
Right.
I mean, this thing is a very politically connected organization. And what they're trying to do educationally is develop kids, give them an offering of what I would call blue-collar skills,
Right.
so that they can attract businesses, manufacturing particularly, into the area, into the region there, and try to build the economy that way. And I just toss that out to you as a vision a lot of us might never see. I work a lot with small businesses, so it makes, that's why I went up there. But that's what they're
Workforce
trying to do.
development.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. And the CBIA, those guys are
Terrific.
Connecticut Business
And Industry
and Industry
Association.
Association.
Right.
Thank you for that.
They're very good.
They are
It's a statewide chamber of commerce, essentially.
right, and they are also going full bore to try and develop employment in these towns, which is a good thing.
Well, and Marcy Minnick serves, I think she's chair of one of the manufacturing councils in that part of the state.
Yeah,
So she's well aware.
she's in Milford. She's
Yes.
right in the.
Heart of it.
I have a next door neighbor of hers who's a client of mine, so I've got a chance to once in a while go in and peek. Hi.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just offered that to you for the general
Yep.
knowledge.
Yep, good point, thank you.
Seth, why don't you go next?
Well, it
Can I
hasn't
just-
been
can
quiet.
I just say real
Yes,
quickly?
sure.
I don't know the official schedule, but just thank you. I know you're, in a way, winding down, but thank you for all the work you've done and the updates here. It's, you've done a great job for Darien. It's a pleasure knowing
Thank
you
you.
as a friend, and just thank you. I hope you stay involved some way, shape, or form. I know you will. I know what
will.
you're trying to do.
Yes.
We'll hope that you get there, but
Thank you.
thank you for all you've done in that
Thank
role
you.
for the town.
Yeah, thank you very much, Terry.
No, I've enjoyed it, it's been.
How
a
many
pleasure.
years?
13 and a half.
13 and a half years.
Yeah.
It's great.
But it's time for
Fantastic.
someone else, and we've got a terrific candidate, and she'll do a wonderful job. technically, I serve through January 3rd.
Okay, that's what I
So-
wasn't sure. Okay,
Right.
good.
I'll be around to watch everybody still
So
and be
you'll-
a resource.
Right, you'll still join us, right?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Good.
okay.
Absolutely, yep.
Um,
Because I have the, yes.
Right,
it's
that's
a-
what I thought. I'm
my
like, whoa.
pleasure and responsibility.
I just want to remind that Jeremy has a tag meeting at 10.
Okay.
No, they have Seth go next,
Okay.
and then I'll go after. That's
Right,
fine,
you know
I'll be
what,
okay.
I think everybody is going to be pretty brief today.
Well, your RTM has been busy. We met Monday night and wrapped up some funding issues, and also sort of we're trying to clear the calendar, clear the deck for Great Island, which is the next major undertaking. The other thing we did on Monday night have a brief moment of silence in support of families here in Darien. We've lost 3 children.
Yeah.
It's tough going, but we've just got to all kind of hang on to each other and try to keep going. Last night, the Rules Committee of the RTM met to call a special meeting of the representative town meeting to deal with the purchase of Great Island. We assigned 5 committees to work on it. Finance and Budget, Public Planning, Zoning and Housing, Park and Rec, Public Works, Public Health and Safety, all those committees, because there are all those elements involved in this purchase. And the idea is simply to give, when the RTM gets ready to vote, to give them a complete picture of what the deal is and what the possibilities are. I was given special permission to modify the resolution to be put on this special meeting warning because the Board of Finance hasn't voted on this yet, so we don't know what the final number is, really. We have numbers that are on the table, but until the Board of Finance votes their approval, we don't have anything. So as soon as that happens, then we'll issue the warning and go forward. Obviously, the Board of Selectmen's approval would be nice as well, so we look forward to that. That's it.
So Seth, TGS&A, which 2 were not assigned?
Ed, Board of Education, the Education Committee, there's no education.
Right, and TGS&A?
And TGS&A. They could become later if we had to modify, for some reason, had to modify the code or modify the charter for some reason, then they could get involved, but for the time being, Frank was smiling. He was very happy.
So the 5 that are on, are they all considered lead?
No, lead is, primary is F&B.
Okay.
This is finance, but there are all these other elements as well.
Right, okay. Terrific.
So Seth, can I ask you, what does the RTM need? Or have you spent any time looking at what type of technology you need to run those meetings? Because that did not work the other night.
No, the meeting on the 27th of the RTM will be face-to-face.
Good. Should be.
And we knew going in, and we were honest among the RTM, that they had about a 50-50 chance of getting the technology all to work. We had 4 computers talking to each other at once, and it was dicey all the way through. My technology people said, well, we were very close, it was very, and I said, okay, as a dispassionate observer trying to run a meeting, it was not, we can't do that. So I don't see any rush at all to go toward technology. Something better would have to come along. The framers of the charter didn't envision the RTM voting remotely. The whole idea of having 100 people in a room is to have dialogue on issues, and believe me, it goes on. And Terry can tell you there's a lot of talk that goes on in the legislature of the state of Connecticut, and also we can see it in the federal government. And so they have electronic aids, but if you want to vote, you've got to be there in person.
Right.
And so it was pretty straightforward with the Rules Committee. We debated it, whether or not to have a hybrid, and it was unanimous not to do it.
Good. Very
And also, we voted I think might have been one abstention, but pretty much unanimously to have masks. And the reason is, there's 100 people in the room. It's not like Board of Ed, we can space everybody out and everything. We got 100 people in there, so. And for this particular special meeting, we may have a big public participation as well. So packing all those folks in the auditorium, like it or not, the Rules Committee felt more comfortable to have everybody wear masks, and so they will.
So you're going to be in person going forward? Or just for the special meeting?
Far be it from me to speak for the Rules Committee.
I just
But
think as-
I sense, if I were to say sense, yeah.
Okay, but I think it would be short-sighted not to think about or look at technology. I mean, hybrid or remote is not going away.
Yeah,
And so I
well-
think what technology does the RTM need to run an efficient meeting, whether people are there or whether people are online? I mean, I think it's something you have to think about.
Well, I think they've been able to run. It's just when it comes to a vote, 100 people voting with
Well, that's-
both.
well,
And dialogue with
That's-
100 people, it's
Right.
not,
Look,
yeah.
It's done all the time from a business perspective. I'm just saying, I think you should think about it. I mean, a
Yeah.
3-hour meeting and starting 20 minutes late and losing
Yeah.
the quorum for 30 minutes, I mean, I get it.
That
I
was
love
the-
the
that
fact
was the
they
argument
should
for
be-
not doing it.
They should be in person, but
Exactly.
you got to be realistic from a technology standpoint, too.
The
in terms of where
realistic
the
thing
future's
is
going.
that people are voted to represent their constituents, and it's expected they'll be there. There have always been issues with the flu, or you can name it, which make it difficult for people to show up. The technology is not at the point right now where we can feel comfortable that it will function in our environment, which is 100 people. It's a big deal. And also, we're voting, which has its own set of rules.
Understood.
And
It's very complicated.
the issue, I mean, we have 5 people, 3 people from the Technology Committee of the Rules Committee, plus several others who worked on putting it together, and the technology is not stable enough right now to be able to do this for us. You got a smaller meeting, smaller number of people involved, yeah, it can work. But I think Rules Committee enjoyed being together. We had a big turnout for the Rules Committee. There was no hybrid offered. And we had, I think we had 80 people, más o menos, in the RTM, if you had to count them at a given point in time. So I think we're far better off meeting face-to-face.
I don't disagree, but I think you also need to think about there'll be younger folks getting on board the RTM, and people look for different ways to participate. It's just a thought as we go forward.
It's there.
Yeah.
The technology is not there now.
Well, I'm sure the RTM will come to a good decision that will be appropriate for them. Anything else for Seth?
Thank you.
Thanks, Seth. Jeremy, I know you're on his schedule.
Yep, sitting in for Steve Ovani, who's caught at work. The big news is we are proceeding with the affordable housing plan, which is has to keep moving along. We are, next meeting on that is Tuesday, June 14th. That could be the last meeting to pull together the final draft, and Planning and Zoning is looking at a public hearing sometime in late July on the plan. Mr. Ovani believed that having a full public hearing for people to chime in would be important. People can send in letters, emails. We have a link on the website. We have a whole page dedicated to the affordable housing plan for people to read the draft chapters, to send emails, to send comments, and all comments get passed along to the Planning and Zoning Commission. But we are in the stretch run of this, and you may have seen an article in the paper that about half the communities are working on finalizing it. There are a few in the state that have not even started. So we're kind of ahead of the game, and that relates to timing. As we're in June, as you know, the commission tries to take a few weeks off in August. So right now we're working on our schedule to two meetings in June, 3 in July, and try to wrap some of the pending matters up. We are working on a replacement for Kara Gately, who resigned from the commission last week. And Steve. And the commission hopes to appoint someone this month.
Jeremy, does Norwalk have an affordable housing plan?
They have just gone out to bid for a consultant to start theirs. They had one bid, is my understanding, and they're going to get started shortly. So they have not even started yet.
So they haven't started yet, so they won't make the deadline, most likely.
They are definitely not going to make the deadline. Like us, have notified OPM of such.
Right, great that they've been able to start, though. That's terrific. Anything else for Jeremy?
No, thank you, though.
Sure.
Appreciate
Thanks, Jeremy.
that
Thanks
update.
for filling in.
Yep.
And thank you for being one of the towns that's complying with
Yeah, we're moving it along,
Request.
and
the mandate.
we're this close to the finish line,
Yeah.
which is good. As I said,
Yeah.
we're ahead of most people.
Right.
And I'll be filling in for Steve Thursday at the presentation.
Okay,
He'll have some written remarks ready.
great.
Good, thank you. June 17th, we are set for graduation. If you look at the extended forecast, it looks like it will be outside, which is always a good thing in terms of number of people participating. If we have to do it inside, it strictly goes by 2 people, so that looks great. The seniors are in their summer internships, which are winding down. I hear that's going very well. Trips right here, representing that,
Big
which
smile.
is great. Excellent, way to go.
Yeah.
So we're excited for that celebration at the end of the year. The next Board of Ed meeting will be at the Darien High School. That'll be warned that way. We will be celebrating those teachers and staff that are retiring, and we'll also be doing the year-end superintendent awards. So we figured that would be a nice venue. We're going to have the Tudor Singers there and a little celebration for our retirees.
What day is it?
So it's next Tuesday, Terry.
14th.
Yeah, I'm so bad with dates.
What time is that meeting?
You know what, let me confirm. I think it's starting early, Monica. I'll confirm the time for you. I don't think it has not been warned yet. So that is on the 14th.
Do you have a count on, just curiosity? I'm not going to name names because that'll take too long, but
I do not. I asked that
Yeah.
just to see how many. Yeah. My last ask of Marge and HR was not as many as we anticipated, which is good.
Yep.
And the hiring, while challenging, is going forward. So,
Okay.
yeah. We are also looking to schedule a meeting with the Board of Finance to kick off the contract negotiations for the DEA contract, which is up for renewal. So we will kick it off first with the Board of Finance meeting, and then those negotiations will start in August through September. And we've got our confirmation from the state around dates for mediation and then final arbitration if it went there. I want to thank Monica and all the folks from Town Hall and all the communities and religious organizations that came together. I thought it was a fantastic task force meeting last week, and all the right people there. I think that's all the right conversations taking place, and that's moving in the right direction. So appreciate that. And the Board of Ed and the administration continue to work hard on what the needs are of not just our staff and students, but everyone in the community. Today, from an elementary school standpoint, there are virtual workshops going on how to support students and families through challenging times. That's being facilitated through the Southern Connecticut Child Guidance Center. And then a similar workshop will be happening tomorrow for Middlesex parents by Dr. Jessica from the Guidance Center. So that'll be happening tomorrow. So we'll continue to do the work on that. We did have a special meeting and went into executive session last night on security. Just high level there. First select person Monica McNally and Chief Anderson joined us. So it is a top priority for not just the superintendent and the board, but for the town, the security, not just of our schools, but of our town. And I do think our Darien Police Department, Chief Anderson and his team do a fantastic job. But we have some things to look at and discuss, and always do. In my 8 years on the board, we've continuously invested and upgraded in technology. There was a lot of time spent around technology with the new build on Ox Ridge. There'll be on security. There'll be a lot of time spent with the renovations. So we continue to look at and see what's needed from a security standpoint in both Monica and the board have gotten emails from parents and their concerns about security. So we'll continue to look at that. There'll be work to be done around that over the summer. And then lastly, I think this is great. We are up close to 1,100 people have enrolled in summer school. And we are fully staffed and ready to go up there for summer school. And so that's an exciting program that always has a good enrollment, has a great group of folks that sign up to teach and be part of that program. There's an extended school year that's a component of that for students that are on IEPs and you know, have some challenges. So that's always a great component of it too. So we're looking forward to graduation in the summer, but I think there is a need to stay focused on what our students and families will need throughout the summer, and so we're continuing to work on that in terms of what resources can be available. And again, the community, I saw Pastor Gary this morning at the Y, and you know, it's like, what do you need? So it's while it's challenging, it's good how we've come together as a community.
Yes,
So.
and the faith community is a big part of that.
Yes.
And they work very, very well together collectively among them.
The only, just so you know, it's on the contract negotiations, you know, you always like to get a read as to where contracts are landing. But the only other district going into negotiations a little before us is Greenwich. So hopefully we'll get a little insight as to where that contract goes before we start our contract negotiations. So.
Dude, going back to the summer school, is 1,100, is that an unusually high, or is it average?
It's higher than normal. So it's been less than 1,000. So.
And then what's the time frame for that? When does it start and end?
It starts June 28th and it goes through the end of July. I think it starts the 28th. It might start the 24th. I think usually a week break between graduation and end of school and when summer school starts. And then it goes through July. Then there's also, I think, a 2-week ability for certain ESY and all to extend it into August, but we feel that people need a break in August or more vacations take up in August.
So the students that enroll in this, are they enrolling in a specific class, or are they
Yes.
enrolling in for the full day?
They're
Just-
enrolling in classes and programs and athletic type stuff, yeah.
So you could enroll for one class or 3 classes?
Mhm.
You can choose. Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions for Duke?
Teacher contracts are 3 years?
They traditionally have been. They don't have to be, but we've traditionally gone for 3 years. It's a great question. It's come up before, and I think we'll see how that works in terms of where the economy is and where some other where at least Greenwich may land. But yeah, I think going back, we asked Mooney. He said there's been a few instances where districts have done a 1-year contract. So, but the preference is a 3-year
It's 3
contract.
years, okay, thank you.
And we are, also just FYI, we're organizing the agenda around that now, but we'll be doing our all-day board retreat on July 13th. So we usually do that right at the Board of Ed, at the district office.
I had a couple of things that I should have brought up. One lovely thing, the code and the charter of the town of Darien have been degendrified. So I thought that as an item that came, that passed at the RTM meeting. I did want to thank First Selectman for working with us and town council to get the contract on Great Island out to the Rules Committee. Rules Committee does want to get it out to the RTM, but we're working with town council on how to get that done and still observe the confidentiality, which is part of the contract. We found a way to do it with the Rules Committee. It worked, never came up. There were a lot of stuff we talked about, but that wasn't one of them. And I wouldn't have allowed it anyway, because it's up or down, but you can't negotiate it. So I wanted to thank you for that. If we could get a copy of the PowerPoint, that nice presentation, hard copy, because we could use a PDF of that. We'll get that out to everybody. For those
We
who,
have this up on the website.
Oh, it is.
I'm sorry.
The PDF is up on the website.
Oh, you loaded it?
Sure,
Okay,
it
great.
Yesterday.
Okay.
Fantastic.
That's wonderful.
All right.
Yeah, people are
We weren't
psyched
sure
about
last
this.
night, but thank you, thank
If you
you.
look under news, it used to say public information session, and it was warning about tomorrow night's meeting, but we took off the session, just put Great Island information. And on that page, it has the Board of Selectmen meeting, which has Monica's comments, if you go to the 19-minute in mark. So you can have Monica's additions, and then John Zagrodzky's financial discussion. So if you want that commentary, you can watch the Board of Selectmen meeting, video is posted. But if you just want to watch the PowerPoint or download it, that's there too.
Yeah, that was the key, we thought. Because there are some slides in there that are very helpful for different elements, you know? A Park and Rec likes the pictures and and I don't have to tell you what the F&B committee likes, so I appreciate it. That's great. Okay.
So Seth, on that, I have reached out to the chairs of the committees, and if I've been able to reach more people. So what I'm going to suggest is that the RTM chairs, whoever hasn't gone will be going this Saturday, I believe. So
Oh, on a tour?
all
Okay.
of those will have gone on tours. Then I'm going to ask those chairs to go to their committees and arrange a tour. We'll give some times, arrange a tour as long as you don't have a quorum for within your
Yeah,
committee.
we had a little discussion about
Yeah,
that.
Wayne-
Well, two people holding coffee, walking around a group, is that
Wayne feels that should be adhered to.
No,
so
I know.
I'm gonna ask to, I'm gonna
We
ask.
settled that last night too, yeah.
Yeah, so I will ask you to not have a quorum on these tours, per Wayne's advice, and we'll give you some dates, and you can start, each individual committee chair can start arranging for their group.
Okay, well, also the converse of that is that we're encouraging the committees to meet together
Right,
and then invite you in.
yes,
So that way we don't have you.
Right, that would be terrific, but I see you have 5 on this, so, you know what, I will make myself available, and I'm sure Jim Palin will make himself available. And John Zagrodzky is out of the country, otherwise he would make himself available. So, I know I'm already on the calendar for, I think it's planning and zoning.
Yep.
Right? Okay, and Jeremy is also. So, and I think I'm on maybe Park and Rec too. I think Park and Rec
Yes.
I'm on, right? Okay.
Adele?
Adele
Okay.
Coniff.
Yeah,
So
okay.
any of your chairs, if they want to have me come to a meeting once they've scheduled the meeting, just contact Linda and she'll make sure that I get on the calendar.
That's, yeah, what more can you do? I think it's great. I think from an RTM standpoint, it's cooperation between themselves and also with the boards to try and get as much as we can, as concisely as we can in front of the RTM so they can make a decision.
Sure.
And
Seth, I've offered this before, I think, but if between the 100 people coming in person and public comment, I don't know if it has to be at town hall, but you could also think about using the Darien High School auditorium in terms of there's much more capacity over there. It's got all the equipment that you need because we've done meetings there and Jim Cameron's been there and stuff like that. But if that, and it just might be something to think about. I don't know if stuff has to be done here at town hall if you want to make people comfortable from a, spacing standpoint, and then also allow for what might be a potential larger than normal number of people coming to that type of meeting.
I think as time goes on, we'll get a read on what,
yeah,
but
it's
that's
early.
an
Yeah,
option.
thank you. Yeah,
That's
that's
an
great.
option.
Yeah,
That's a
great.
generous option.
Thank you, because
There's not too many places in town to.
No.
like.
Well, it is. We have. There's an organization, believe it or not, in the auditorium for RTM meetings.
Right.
So we have
You have a setup.
a setup and a comfort level and all the technology and the mics and all that stuff is all, people got a routine. That doesn't mean we don't want to have people lined up outside in a parking lot trying to get in. So.
But I think, like I said, I think we'll have a read on that, so.
Well, thank you both for your work on this, because it's tremendously exciting, and people are very happy that it's in the process.
I notice that there are certain
Lot
members
of
of the
positivity.
legislature who don't understand quite how we do things, but that's okay. I'll leave it as it is. don't understand the difference between the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Education.
Oh, right, got it, right. I was addressing the Great
I
Island
know, but I
Project,
just,
because people
I
are so.
just couldn't resist.
What do you
No,
mean
I
by
know.
that?
Well, I was just reading the newspapers.
Oh, the open choice
Yeah,
contest.
yes, right.
Oh.
So our representatives had sent a letter,
Yes.
and it was actually incorrect in that we have invited them
Right.
to Town Hall to come. We have 4 new Board of Selectmen members, so I think for our representatives to come and meet our new Board of Selectmen members would be terrific. They have not taken up our invitation, but we will try again, because we would love to have them. Are there any other comments?
No, but
Thoughts?
thank you.
No? Okay,
Good
may I have a
meeting.
motion to
Thank
adjourn?
So moved.
Secretary seconds?
Well,
All in favor?
Legally, I guess.
Duke seconds.
I'm a visitor, a participant, but not a.
I keep forgetting that.
Yeah, I know.